How would you like Mr. Wonderful Paul Orndorff to be remembered from generations of fans from now?
Well, they say a fool speaks his mind. I guess that's me. And that's, I've done it pretty much, you know. I mean, if somebody said something, or if you don't think something right, don't you think you should be able to say that it ain't right? So if that's being a fool or speaking up when you think something wrong or goes against what you believe or the way your style is or something, you should be able to do it. I never once not did anything anybody ever asked me to do, any promoter. Never. I questioned it, yes. Never have I ever not done what they wanted. Now, I might have done it my way, but it still got done. I did it my way, rather than the way they did it, to fit me more, because it's me, you know.
Right.
I'm the one that...
You weren't Paul Orndorff. I mean, you weren't a character.
I got to keep my character, just like Hogan kept his, and Savage and all them. Well, I had to fight a little bit more for mine, and I did.
Unbelievable. A wonderful story, a wonderful career, Paul. Thank you so much for coming back and joining us again so soon. Johnny, Jack.
Wrestling fans around the corner, around the world, I'm Dan Marty.
And I'm John Cena Sr.
Johnny, the fans just haven't asked for it, they have demanded it.
This August, we're headed back to Tampa for Wrestle House 2.
WrestleMania weekend, we brought you Sinister Minister James Mitchell, TJP, Demolition Smash, Al Snow, Dutch Mantel Zeb Coulter, JTG of Primetime, and WWE Hall of Famer Gerald Briscoe for in-depth interviews and live interactive cyber autograph signings.
And if you want our Wednesday Night Wrestling Insider Special edition episodes to continue, we need your help to bring these superstars' careers and lives to life.
Bringing you free content 7 days each week is an expensive proposition. Between appearance fees, air travel, renting the house, the equipment, and everything that goes in to a week of shooting, we can't do it without you.
As we prepare to return to producing live in-ring events, help us bring you the superstars and legends of yesterday and tomorrow by visiting Indiegogo now and check out some of the great rewards.
Wrestling fans, it's going to be a wild week in Tampa the first week in August. Get ready for Wrestle House 2.
This is Mick Foley.
This is Harley Race.
This is Shelton Benjamin.
This is Mr. Wonderful Paul Orndorff.
This is the Monster Abyss.
And this is Daniel Bryan.
This is JBL, and you're watching the MWF.
Be there live.
Wrestling fans around the corner, around the world, welcome to the post-WWE Monday Night Raw installment of the Monday Night Mission. I am Dan Marty, of course, joined by a man much more important than I, the former WWF Tag Team Championship manager of Men on a Mission, the man that nearly blew the roof off of the world's most famous arena, Madison Square Garden, at WrestleMania 10. I could be only talking about the one, the only, the man that rocks us every Monday night, Oscar. Again, Oscar, I say that's a hell of an introduction for a man who only has 5 letters for a name.
Yeah, thank you, man. I appreciate it.
Well, you know what? We're always happy to have you with us on the show, but, you know, probably the worst of times to have a show today. Who knows? Maybe it'll be a little therapeutic in some way, shape, or form. You're traveling again. Do you want to update the fans what you're up to this week?
I'm just on vacation.
Oh, you're just on vacation. That's it.
Yeah.
I thought you were going to have some big announcement.
No, I'm just on vacation.
You and Mimi are getting matching Mickey and Minnie ears.
Yeah, that's what we are.
All right. Well, there's nothing wrong with that. You know how much I love Orlando, and old JC, John Cena Sr., is a fan of Universal Studios. We're going to have to delay our episode. We were going to have focused more on the happenings of Boston Wrestling MWF with the live events coming up, especially the big one, the 20th anniversary, Saturday night, November the 13th at Memorial Hall in Melrose, Massachusetts. For our great Patreon fans, remember those VIP packages and tickets go on sale Sunday. To the rest of the world, they go on sale Friday, August the 6th. mark the date down on your calendar. We had some big announcements already, and that we'll be joined by WWE Hall of Famer Hacksaw Jim Duggan, Axe and Smash Demolition, who I consider to be the greatest tag team in WWE, WWF history, along with fellow Hall of Famer Jake the Snake Roberts. But, it's even more glaring of a hole today. We've discussed it in previous episodes. The YouTube video that was put out by Mr. Wonderful Paul Orndorff's son, of him at some kind of, I'd guess, medical facility where he was in a medical gown and his hair was all long and raggedy and he had a mustache and he was trying to eat, I don't know if it was a salt or a pepper packet. And then on July 4th, though, spirits seemed to be lifted a little bit. The son took him home. He was dressed in regular clothes. He had a nice haircut. There was no mustache. It looked like he was enjoying a cold beer on America's birthday. And then this afternoon, you get the news, and it feels like you get hit in the stomach with a baseball bat that Mr. Wonderful Paul Orndorff passed away at the age of 71. He's a gentleman that was here in this studio several times, and he was originally slated to be with us at Back to the 80s WrestleFest. He's not just the first, but now the second original superstar we had booked for this event that we lost to go along with the late Joe Laurinaitis, Road Warrior Animal. So just a tough day all around. Oscar, your thoughts, your memories on Mr. Wonderful, and maybe the thoughts to go along with what happens to one once they suffer from CTE.
He's one of those ones that I watched on TV as a kid. So I was an avid fan. I loved Paul Orndorff. I liked watching him. My father liked watching him. We were, we were real super fans. And, when I was much younger, and he's one of those life comes full circle stories that I didn't work with the man. I didn't really know him, but life comes full circle where I met him in person.
Mm-hmm.
And got to talk with him a little bit on more than one occasion. And he had a great spirit about him. And so like I said, there's not much I can say except it's just sad that another one in the Brotherhood has fallen unexpectedly, because like you said, the last you saw him, he looked like maybe not the picture of health, but he was doing better. Drinking a beer on 4th of July, which 4th of July was like last week.
Yeah, and he had a nice haircut. He was in clothes instead of a hospital gown. He was in a home instead of I don't know what kind of a facility that he was in when that video appeared on YouTube where he was trying to, eat the packet of, I don't know if it was salt or pepper or whatever it may be. But,
right.
At least it looked like things were, if not getting better, they were going to be stabilized. You know what I mean? And then 6 days, where are we now? The 12th? So 8 days later, there we go. Mr. Wonderful Paul Orndorff is unfortunately left us. And it's sad. It certainly leaves a hole in our event. With us, once you're around a little bit, we consider you to be part of the family. So, this one really stings. We have a lot of wrestling losses that we hear about and that we go through. But when it's someone that we know and consider a friend, it's very, very, very difficult. I've felt miserable all afternoon. I've been trying to put up some of the links on social media for fans to enjoy some of the video clips of Paul. The full-length DVDs of him are available, of course, on the Patreon over at patreon.com/Boston Wrestling, just to get one cheap plug in. But we do want to note the family has put together a GoFundMe campaign to try and help with not only Paul's funeral costs, but his final life expenses, which, those can add up sometimes. Sometimes there's a lot of bills that still haven't come in the mail yet that still need to be paid at the end of the day. So the Orndorffs are reaching out to folks. Paul was part of the main event of the very first WrestleMania. He was Hulk Hogan's greatest drawing house show opponent. They had a house show in Toronto that they had to move to Exhibition Stadium in August of 1986. that drew, I believe, over 65,000 people for a house show. I mean, if that doesn't show you how hot the industry was at that point and how hot the Hogan-Orndorff feud was, I mean, that says it all. And to me, I think back to a little 5-year-old, Dan Marati. That was the first angle I remember in wrestling history, was when Hogan and Orndorff teamed up to face John Studd and King Kong Bundy on, I'm not sure if it was Championship Wrestling or All-Star Wrestling, one of those two syndicated shows. And then Orndorff, his buddy, hit him with that big clothesline and turned heel and joined the Bobby Heenan family. And I was never a Paul Orndorff fan after that, after he turned on the Hulkster. So that and Adrian Adonis and Roddy Piper on the Flower Shop are the first two angles I remember as a little kid when I started watching wrestling. What about you? Do you have a favorite Orndorff match, Orndorff angle, anything that stood out during his career? Because I remember even back then, you've got a few years on me, but you were probably a teenager around that time when WWF was booming.
No, whenever Orndorff and Hogan got together, that was classic.
Yeah.
I mean, he helped fortify Hulk Hogan's career, in my opinion, because they had some really, really, really classic stuff going on. And like you said, I mean, 65,000 people for a house show, that's WrestleMania numbers.
Right.
So that just speaks to the popularity of, mostly what Hogan did, but, Orndorff was no slouch in the situation.
It takes two to tango, right?
Yeah,
Hulk can't wrestle himself.
So, but what makes me sad right now, and is the fact that Orndorff gave that kind of an impact to wrestling at that point, but now the family got to set up a GoFundMe page in order to bury the man. And, in my opinion, I think that, when things like this happen, especially when you have your seasoned legends pass away or get real sick, does WWE need to step up more than what they do?
Well, you know what? A great argument could be made about that on both sides of the coin. I will say, before I share my personal opinion, that I did speak with WWE officials today, and they did speak with Paul's wife, Rhonda. So there at least has been communication between the company and the Orndorff family, how they may be able to help. I don't know. They can be very creative in the ways they do it when they choose to do it. So knock on wood, that'll be the direction things go. So the Orndorffs aren't overwhelmed beyond the loss of Paul. From the Dan that looks at it as a brotherhood and a fraternity and so on and so forth, absolutely. I think that WWE, some of the current talent today making monster money could literally chip in and cover the cost of that, as if they were going to have a nice dinner.
Let me stop you right there.
All right, stop me, brother.
There's the fans, the talent now, I hate to say it like this, but I wouldn't be surprised if a handful of the talent, a lot of the talent walking around the back right now barely know, if know at all, who Paul Orndorff is.
That's sad.
So as far as them chipping in anything, I don't expect you to expect a nickel, not from that circumstance.
Well, you look at someone like Goldberg, he's making 7 figures a year for 2 matches a year. Paul helped train him. Would it really hurt Goldberg to come up and help a drive?
No, Goldberg, okay, Goldberg maybe. I mean, I could see that. But if you looking at, and I am not trying to mention no names because I'm not trying to get no heat.
You don't want heat, right?
But if you looking at some of these younger hotshots that's on TV right now to give a damn. I would be shocked if any even one of them did anything, and I'd be willing to bet folding money that you not getting ready to get money. You're not getting ready to get money, respect, or maybe not even a card from that direction. And I would even be surprised if tonight on Raw they all come out and they do a 10 bell salute and everybody's out there, to even do it. They might, because they should, because of who Paul Orndorff is. See, my problem, and I'm veering off to another conversation.
You shoot.
My problem is the respect level. Understand the pioneers that paved the way in order for you to be who you are in the game right now.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah.
All right. Well, I think, you make a valid point. Outside of one disastrous match where Orndorff was injured, I believe it was either on a September pay-per-view or a Nitro. I just remember it being the fall of 2000. Outside of that one match with some of his trainees, Paul Orndorff's last match on television was in the fall of 1995. So when you say a lot of the younger talent today have no idea who he is, a lot of them weren't even born, when Paul Orndorff was at the end of his career.
Yeah, no.
But as noted, I have my thoughts on how the Brotherhood should look after each other. We have the Cauliflower Alley Club, of course. But at the same time, then I look at it as, okay, let's eliminate that this is a professional wrestling situation. Let's say Paul Orndorff worked, let's say he worked at Walmart for 20 or 30 years and he's been retired for the past 20. Does Walmart owe him, a funeral service and help with the post-life expenses? I don't know. I mean, should WWE be put in the position where they're accountable and responsible for everyone when their time comes and they pass? I don't know the answer to that question. I think it lies somewhere in between. I don't think the answer is, they should do nothing, but I don't think the answer is they're responsible for everything for everyone. What the actual correct answer is, we'd probably have to sit down and have a long conversation about that to try and to figure that out. But
No.
I think, with the money that they have coming in right now, they could probably sneeze and take care of every.
Right. No, they're not responsible for everything and everyone. I agree with that. But there are certain individuals that kickstarted the making it rain experience that they're having right now that they should respect, at least in that way. I mean, what is it really going to hurt them to make sure one of their legends is put away properly? No,
Right.
I don't expect them to do it for everybody. But there are some people, and Paul Orndorff is one of them, that deserve that do deserve, and it's not about the money, that does deserve that respect.
Well, exactly. When you were one of the main eventers of WrestleMania 1, I think that maybe
Exactly.
that
That's
puts you in
my
a special
point, right.
category. Yeah.
That puts you in a special cat. I don't expect them to do nuts for me. I don't expect them to send flowers. I don't expect them to send a card. I really don't. I don't expect it to be acknowledged on television.
Well-
I mean, I think I might be legendary in the mind of some, but I didn't make that kind of impact, in my opinion, and I realize that. I'm humble. My humbleness certainly drives me enough to realize that. I'm not talking about me, but I am talking about you know
the top guys.
Right.
Well, like I said, it's almost a catch-22. You're almost damned if you do and damned if you don't. If you do it for one and it comes out publicly, then it's going to be, well, why didn't you do it for that one? And if you do it for no one, you look like an asshole. So what's the common ground is what I don't know. You know what I mean? And there are a lot of guys that were in those top positions that, you know, if they manage their money wisely, you know, they wouldn't even need the help. So I don't know. Every situation is different, and I guess you almost have to look at every circumstance differently at the end of the day.
Right. No, every circumstance is different, but that circumstance truly does merit respect.
Well, where Paul was a top guy during one of the great boom periods of the era, it's not like they're never going to utilize his image in the future. You'd think almost like a situation with your old buddy Mabel, you know, they could help ahead of time with what future residuals may be.
Yeah, I mean, in that regard, you know, the whole Mabel situation, it took a little time and a little doing, but they did wind up stepping up majorly, you know, in that situation. And I personally thank them for that. I mean, they did wind up doing something.
Yeah.
So here it is. If they can do it for Mabel, and Mabel certainly wasn't a Paul Orndorff, then Paul Orndorff certainly does deserve. Paul Orndorff certainly does deserve, you know, a helping hand.
All right, you know what? When you look at it like that, you're absolutely right. I'll agree with you on that one. And you know, now that Paul is gone, you know, we look at the other sad story in the world of professional wrestling right now, that another one of the all-time greats, former NWA and ECW world champion Terry Funk, is in an assisted living community right now. Don Morocco made it sound like it was really bad. Tommy Dreamer on the podcast that he's a part of said he still speaks with Terry on the phone regularly, and you know, some days are better than others, but he's still with it enough to hold conversations. I just, you know, certainly hope that we're not going to be hearing any dire news about Terry anytime to come, because as you know, just from the Cauliflower Alley Club, he is one of the treasures to the king of sports professional wrestling.
Most definitely. I mean, you know, I'm just sorry at the state of the world. But see, here's the thing. You know, I mean, I've been watching Terry Funk too since I was a kid. We all gotta grow old. Getting old and death is the only guarantee of all of us. I mean, we could all feel bad, but these days are inevitable for all of us. You understand what I'm saying?
Oh, absolutely.
I'm not that spry 30-year-old that blew the roof, like you say, on Madison Square Garden. I'm not. I'm almost 30 years older. I could not do that today like I did it back then. I was 30 years old, much younger, with a whole lot of energy, a whole lot of power in my voice, and I could jump around and finagle around the ring with Mo and Mabel. I couldn't do that today. I'd go in there and drop dead right. That'd be what killed me.
Well, I could see you in Dallas next April in front of 102,000 people.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad you can see it. I could.
Well, no, you're right. I mean, everybody, it's a fact of life. Everybody grows old. You know, everybody's time will come in some way, shape, or form. Terry Funk put his body through a lot of abuse at a advanced age, not much younger than you, when he had his big ECW run and he was doing those barbed wire matches and
right.
Yeah, so I mean, you know, I imagine that poor man is in a lot of physical pain, and with that, I'm sure there were many concussions over the years, especially with that ECW style and just the style that he worked all over the world, whether it be WWF, NWA. Over in Japan, he would do those death matches, the King of the Death Match with Cactus Jack became legendary. He did the landmine match with Oneida back in 1993, amongst others. So, Terry was a wild child, and unfortunately, as much as the fans came to love him for it, it's unfortunate that he's paying for it right now. I don't know of any kind of fund or that Terry needs any assistance. I don't want to say that, but I certainly hope that folks will keep that in mind. I hope they'll keep it in mind if, Paul Orndorff ever touched them. I look at it like this, and the same goes for the campaigns that we run on our own, whether they be charity drives or to try and raise money for, the talk shows or the live events. If everybody listening sometimes just chipped in $1, imagine how quick the problem would be alleviated. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, it will be. All right, but there's another matter that we got to discuss now. We know that, and I'm not getting into the whole story of this. I'm going somewhere. We know Marty Jannetty need help.
Oh, dear Lord.
He refused to take it. No. I'm going somewhere. I'm going completely another direction.
Well, do you think we should take a brief time out first?
Yeah, go ahead.
All right, fans. Right now, we're going to take a brief time out. We'll be back with more of the final WWE Raw at the Thunderdome post-Raw Monday Night Mission with Oscar. We'll be back after this brief timeout.
Wrestling fans around the corner, around the world, I'm Dan Marty.
And I'm John Cena Sr.
Johnny, the momentum here in Boston Wrestling continues as we continue to build and build and build. The fans want to know, how do we help? We subscribe to the Patreon, but we see all the great merchandise on that set. Coronavirus may have killed the nightlife, especially for someone like Marty, but our acclaimed eBay store is open 24/7 around the world.
Wow. Check it out.
Arguably the greatest professional wrestler of all time. Get this limited edition collector's autograph print personally signed by two-time WWE Hall of Famer Nature Boy Ric Flair, inscribed 16 times for each of his recognized World Championship reigns. One of only 50 made direct from our friends at WWE. Also signed by original artist Rob Schamberger. Help keep wrestling legends working. Get this awesome Ric Flair collectible for your wrestling collection now. Boston Wrestling Sports and the MWF explodes into a new year of unknown with professional wrestling content galore, and we need you to join our family. Every Tuesday night at 10 p.m. after we review the previous night's Monday Night Raw, it's Wrestling Insiders at your house with the unpredictable WWE Hall of Famer, Mr. USA, Tony Atlas. Wednesday nights after WWE, NXT, and AEW at 10 p.m., you never know who's going to show up on Wrestling Insiders Special Edition. Every Thursday night at 10 p.m. after our NXT and Dynamite review, it's Marty Jannetty's No Holds Barred Sex, Drugs, and Rock and Roll journey through the 80s and 90s on Wrestling Insiders Party with Marty. Friday nights after the lights go down at the Thunderdome on SmackDown, it's John Cena Sr.'s Wrestling Insiders Fabulous Fridays. Plus, look for classic clips, bonus live episodes, pay-per-view watch-alongs, and more. If you want early, ad-free access to all of our Wrestling Insider talk shows, our acclaimed studio shoot interview DVD library, and to help keep wrestling legends working during the worst of times, for less than a cup of coffee at Starbucks, join our growing family at patreon.com/Boston Wrestling. Expect the unexpected in 2021.
WWE is coming home to Kansas City with Monday Night Raw. WWE is back with Monday Night Raw in Kansas City, Monday, July 26th. Tickets on sale now.
Wrestling fans, especially here in the Boston area, we want to thank our great friends at Red Rose for their support for all of our charitable endeavors and programming efforts. Red Rose is 2 years young and extremely thankful for all the support they've had from our neighbors here in Melrose and beyond for an amazing first 2 years. Red Rose thanks Melrose and all of the first responders who have fought the good fight and have never given up hope during these unprecedented times. We did it together. Follow Red Rose on Facebook for their anniversary special, facebook.com/Red Red Rose Melrose. You'll be glad you did. Open until 2 a.m. Red Rose will give you fresh, piping hot, mouth-watering food that'll put an ear-to-ear smile on even the toughest critic's face. Check out their full menu online at redrosema.com or give them a call, 781-620-1889. Wrestling fans, welcome back to the Monday Night Mission. I'm Dan Marati, along with your host with the most, former WWF Tag Team Championship Manager of Men on a Mission, OSCAR, Oscar. Oscar, a pleasure to have you back here with us. We've talked about the unfortunate passing of Paul Orndorff today, the issues that Terry Funk is facing right now, but you were getting a little fired up before the commercial break.
Yeah, my Jimmy Uso got his 4th DUI.
His 4th arrest, his 3rd DUI.
His 4th arrest, his 3rd DUI.
One of those arrests came, I believe, when his wife was arrested for a DUI, and he took off his shirt and he kind of charged at the cops and was charged with trying to prevent them from arresting her or something along those lines.
No, right, but this is his 4th arrest, and just as importantly, his 3rd DUI. Now, I would imagine that the company, you know, and they believe me, they release Happy as It Is.
Yes.
Cannot be looking too kindly on a situation like this.
I agree with you 110%. I mean, you know what? I think the world of Jimmy Uso and the Anoa'i family, but you know what? I also look at my real life that was decimated at the hands of a drunk driver, an idiot that wanted to go out and have fun and drink and was irresponsible enough to get behind the wheel of his pickup truck and fall asleep behind the wheel, and he almost killed 3 people as a result of it. For Jimmy to go and put himself in the situation, not once, not twice, but 3 times, and also a drunken 4th arrest when he was in a situation that could have gone a lot worse than it did. If I'm WWE, I'm looking at if this problem can't be resolved, the problem has to be eliminated. I don't know what you think.
Yeah, no. Number one, like I said, they're lay off Happy as It Is.
Right.
So in order for him to save his job, he gotta show some kind of contrition. Mm-hmm. And the way you do that is you probably need to volunteer to go into one of these programs that we trying to get people that we know have problems have. Because I don't imagine that they can't say, oh, we got one Uso, that might be enough.
Right. And I mean, right now, look at the landscape. When Jimmy was out injured, look at the successful run that Jey Uso had as a single with Roman. I think he kind of proved that he can succeed on his own without being in the tag team ranks, teamed up with his brother. I don't think there's ever been a more time when Jimmy's been more expendable.
Yeah. And that's not a wish that I got.
No.
He worked well with his brother.
I just wish the man was making wiser decisions. Right now, he's in the biggest push of his career, and that angle with Jay and Roman on SmackDown each week. It's some of the most compelling television that WWE has put out in years. Tip of the cap to the creative in WWE that's involved in that process. Tip of the cap to the people involved in the faction, Roman, Jimmy J, and Paul Heyman. But, you have to look at the real-life Jonathan Fatu, and he's really screwing up and messing up big time. If he's been arrested 3 times, or if he's been arrested 4 times, 3 of which were for DUIs, I ask you this, Oscar, how many times did it happen that he wasn't caught?
Yeah, exactly. No.
That's what's really
Right.
dangerous. Not only to himself, but again, like me, you know, my life was decimated. I didn't get drunk. I didn't have an alcoholic beverage the day that my life almost ended, and my body was crippled as a result of some idiot going out and getting wasted and feeling he could drive his pickup truck on Route 495 North after one of our live events down in Blackstone, Massachusetts, that severely injured myself, WWE Hall of Famer, the Iron Sheik, and then former MWF Commissioner Vaughn Johnson. But, you know, what do you think the solution is? You know, I have an idea in my mind. I shared it on Wrestling Insider's Stern But Fair last night. But if you're Vince McMahon or you're one of the powers that be in WWE that could lay down a judgment, what would you do with Jimmy Uso right now after this arrest?
What would I do?
Yes.
He would have gotten a significant suspension the first time, and in all likelihood let go the second time, because number one, and I'm sure that this is a consideration. I'm sure this is a consideration. Yeah, I'm sure suspension or termination got to be a consideration, because not simply because of the act, because you know we don't need that kind of press.
Right, because in all the headlines, beyond, you know, wrestling websites, in any mainstream news media, it wasn't Jonathan Fatu was arrested for a DUI. It was WWE superstar Jimmy Uso was arrested for a DUI. And that makes the company look bad.
No, you're right. I don't know. If it was me, I'm all right. If it was me, I wouldn't tolerate it. And I'm surprised. I'm surprised Vince is, you know, letting it go. But is he letting it go?
Well, you know, at the same time, look at the precedent they've set with Jeff Hardy. How many DUIs has he had over the years? How many drug arrests has he had over the years? And he's in a very plum position right now himself.
Yeah, no, you're right.
And Jeff Hardy, I'm not trying to. I like Jeff Hardy, the human being, an awful lot, but he's made a lot of poor choices for himself, and he's made a lot of poor choices that could have potentially hurt other people in the process.
Yeah, I mean, you can't keep letting this go.
Well, if I'm Johnny Ace, if I'm Vince McMahon, I say this: look, this is ridiculous. This is out of hand. You either A, have an addiction problem of some kind, or B, you have zero self-control or respect for yourself and the other people that are out there in the Pensacola area when you're driving. We're going to suspend you for 90 days non-paid, and you're going to go to rehab, or we're going to release you. That's how I would handle it if I was them.
No, I'm 100%. No, I'm 100% in agreement.
Oh, you agree? Okay.
Yes, you need to go. That's what the wellness program is for. You need to go.
I think doing nothing sends a very poor image for a publicly traded company.
That sends a poor press, because I would say you have to show some contrition in order for us to continue to even think about keeping you.
Right.
Because if not, if not the way your real actions, you are guaranteed to do this again. It's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when.
Right, because his track record is it's going to happen again.
Because obviously, it's not just 3 times a good time out. It's you got a problem.
Right.
That problem needs to be addressed. And I understand it. Alicia Fox is off TV, probably released. They just ain't said it yet because she came to the ring tipsy or drunk or whatever it is.
Well, she has a Legends contract now. She's no longer a regular performer. She's a legend.
Okay, well, all right, well, I guess that's the road that Uso's traveling to go down. If he don't get it together.
Well, you know what? Alicia Fox's story is a little bit more unique because there was an incident with a WWE employee, a non-wrestler, that involved alcohol at one point. But we're not going to go there on this show, at least on this episode right now. But with Jimmy as a talent, I mean, imagine if you're Mattel. Do you want to make action figures of this guy to sell to little kids?
I mean, it's getting to the point where you can't.
Right. And it's sad because he's one of my favorite talents to watch on wrestling television right now.
You see, action figures are so based on the role model of the person.
Yeah. And even video games, you know. Does 2K want to put him in the games?
Everything that you want to sell to the demographic of children has got to be, 100% spot on.
Yep.
And, that's not going to work out.
Well, if you watched SmackDown last week, you wouldn't think that the man encountered any kind of issue at all the way he was booked. They continue to use him in that main angle. And you know what? To be fair, I can see WWE maybe needing a week or two to write him out if that's the direction they're going to go. But I think at this point, it's the direction they shouldn't want to go. It's the direction they need to go. And I say that as someone, again, not just a human being that's been crushed by a drunk driver, but also a stockholder right now,
No, I don't want to see nothing. I don't want to see nothing bad happen in that regard. But as far as the integrity of the product, and as far as him needing some personal time off to deal with his demons like that, all that need to come into play, and he need to he need to take a step aside.
And even for WWE, they should look at it from the point of view that they need to cover their own ass. Imagine if there is yet again a next time. Imagine Jimmy Uso goes into a telephone pole and cripples himself or kills himself. Imagine Jimmy Uso does what happened to me. He cripples someone on the highway, just an innocent bystander driving home or wherever they may be going, and because he had too much to drink, he lost control of his automobile and severely injured someone. If I'm WWE and that happens, how bad does WWE look that there's this long track record of incidents and they did absolutely nothing about it?
Yeah, I mean, right, and they need to cover their ass
right
in a way where it's, like, all right, well, this happened and we dealt with this individual accordingly.
They can, at least...
it's like I told Triple H about the what did I tell him about the network.
Mm-hmm.
When it comes down to the network, former talent are starting to ask questions about royalties from the network.
Right.
Now, and I told him straight up, you have got to get in front of this in a manner of, you got to say something about it. I mean, you got a newsletter that come out every couple of months. You ain't got to call everybody, but you need to get in front of it and address it some kind of way. Mm-hmm. Some kind of way. Saying nothing, that is what's going to cause a whole bunch of problems that you really don't need to have. That's saying nothing.
That'll be the next class action lawsuit.
In this manner, in this manner, doing nothing when it comes to this, without getting in front of it some kind of way, because you just can't ignore it and act like it didn't happen, act like everybody ain't heard about it, and everybody's not concerned about it and talking about it. And for that reason, the company is taking a hit one way or another.
Yeah, yeah. Well, for the good of Jimmy Uso and for the good of the WWE brand, some kind of action needs to take place. It'll be
And
interesting.
you have to, and I'm sorry, Jimmy, but you put yourself in this position. It has to be dealt with publicly because the public already know the story.
No one asked him to go out and get drunk and do it.
Right. I mean, yeah, I hate to say it like that, but I'm saying it is what it is right now. And whatever the penalty, whatever the penalty is, it's got to be done publicly so everybody know at least it's being dealt with.
And you know what? I hope at the end of the day, I hope something positive comes of it. Maybe Jimmy can learn from what's going on. Maybe Jimmy can go and speak to kids at schools about drinking and driving and things like that. You know, he's a good soul. Again, he's one of the great talents right now in the industry, but personally, he's made a lot of disappointing choices for himself and the community around him. We'll knock on wood for him again and just hope that WWE will do something suitable to try and save his career and save his health.
And I want to say, what I'm saying right now, I would say to any nephew, which that's what the Usos are to me. I remember when they were kids. I loved them boys. I worked with their father. Their father taught me a lot. Their father knocked the shit out of me with the first match I had. I mean, he knocked me out.
I remember you told that story, yeah.
Yeah, he knocked the hell out of me. But instead of me being mad about it, I learned something from it. And I did not make the same mistake again. And we have been up and down the road more times than I can count on 10 fingers and 10 toes. And we remain great friends today. So I love him. I love them kids. I love the whole Honore family. They're the most humblest, hardworking people in the business, from The Rock on down to Lance and beyond. So what I'm saying out of love to get yourself together, because I don't want nothing to happen to you. But the road you on, that pretty much is what you risking happening. You hurting yourself or somebody else, dog. Come on, man. But but if it's a problem, if it's alcoholism or an alcohol problem, it's no shame in it. Get you some help. When I felt like I was falling apart, here I am saying it publicly for all the world to hear. I got some therapy.
Directly at Reese's Pieces in Las Vegas.
I actually went to a therapist.
Did you? Well, good for you.
Yeah. Started sorting out my problems because I realized I couldn't deal with it all. My life was falling apart. I was on the verge of losing everything. So I had to get stock of my mind and I had to get some help.
And look at you now.
Yeah, so I feel a whole lot better now. Since I was a kid, the one thing I had, no matter what was happening in life, because I grew up dirt poor, and I had everything in life against me, but I had the same smile all the time. I had joy. And that joy took me to some incredible places in life. But when I got to be a certain age, not very long ago, I lost that smile. I lost that joy. I lost it. Didn't know where it went and didn't know how to get it back. So that's when I had to go and see somebody. And lo and behold, with the help of the Lord himself, I got above. I got my joy back. I got it back. I am happy as hell now. And things started to look up. Things started to change. I got back to work, got back to doing projects. My old ass started rapping again here and there. I'm doing this show, doing that, a whole bunch of things. And I'm more happy with myself now than I've been in a very long time. And like I said, it took talking about it and realizing I had a problem in order to solve the problem.
Well, and you know what? Sometimes really that's what you need to do. And I, as your friend, am very happy that you went that route. I don't know the nature of the issues, but I'm glad that you realized you had them, and I'm glad you went out and found the help that you needed. And I'm glad you're doing so well today, and you're the very upbeat, spiritual person that I've come to know since we became friends now, my gosh, about what, 7 years ago now?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
if you can do it, anybody can do it.
if I could do it, anybody can. That is the message that I'm sending, because you are so incredibly right.
All right, before we wrap up this week's episode, Oscar, an interesting week in the Duggan family when it comes to talent relations. That name may not mean much to fans on the surface, but the husband and wife duo of Zelina Vega, she's returned to the SmackDown brand of WWE Raw, and the new look, Aleister Black, Malachi Blacks, has debuted in AEW. So, healthy paychecks for both, I imagine. Just not partners in crime, so to speak, right now. They're going to be not on separate brands, but in separate wrestling companies. Kind of awkward, maybe?
Yeah, but as long as everybody is working, bringing home the bacon, it don't matter where they doing it at, as long as they doing it. And I'm happy that it turned out, I'm happy it turned out for the both of them, and that just goes to show you, kids, releases don't mean that they permanent. The things that your chapter is over. Especially in WWE, you get released today and get brought back next week. I look at case in point. Look at
Samoa Joe?
Look at Samoa Joe. Thank you. Look at Samoa Joe. Samoa Joe got released. We was all crying like, why? And Samoa Joe's right over there at NXT, probably making more money than he was making behind the announcer desk.
I don't know about that, but I'm sure he's making a very healthy living, as he would have had, I imagine, every full-time wrestling promotion in the United States and beyond would be interested in utilizing his services.
They snapped him up before AEW could offer him that fat deal. I promise you that.
Yeah, so I think it was a wise move for the NXT brand. They bring back someone that NXT fans like an awful lot. They've put him in a very, kind of a different, unique role as the enforcer for General Manager William Regal. The fans are happy. Joe seems to be happy in the interviews that he's done since re-signing with NXT. And you know what? It's another familiar face to add to the quote-unquote third brand of the company.
I mean, I'm happy, I'm happy for Samoa Joe, because another one. He's got another one. He's a Samoan, and he's got another one of those humble spirits about him. Really nice guy. I got to meet him at a WrestleCon, a few years back for the first time. Enjoyed meeting him. I'm a Samoa Joe. I'm a Samoa Joe fan. I admit it. If I'm a fan of somebody, I'm quick to say it. I'm a fan of so and so. I found it hard to be a fan of a lot of people because I got to see up close and personal, who they are in real life, and that just turned me off.
Yeah, that happens a lot.
I'm a fan of the New Day. I got to talk to him, and the New Day actually acknowledged that a Men on a Mission was instrumental in their upbringing and who they are, and that really touched my heart. They even mentioned Men on a Mission on TV one night.
Yeah,
I was so stoked about that. I couldn't believe it, but anyway, back to what I'm saying. Samoa Joe's back. He deserved to be back. He deserved everything he's getting, and kudos to the man.
Well, as far as these returns go, as far as Zelina Vega, she couldn't have picked a better time. Bailey, I guess, in training to go back live on the road in front of the fans. was injured, and she's going to be out for the next 9 months.
Bev's going to be out for the next 9 months.
So it's a great time to be a female heel on the SmackDown brand right now.
And I honestly believe that Zelina Vega rivalry with the current champ is going to be more interesting to watch than Bailey. I was never a Bailey fan. I never got it.
I think the original version appealed to kids an awful lot. The version that's there now, you know what? Maybe the time away is the best thing that's going to happen, and they can repaint her a little bit
when she had the balloon things up and hugging fans and kids were all into and all that. You know, I don't know. And it even go back to the Men on the Mission story. I don't know why they take a successful thing and turn it around into into being heels before it can actually play out and you can't do nothing more with it.
I think in the case of Bailey, you couldn't do any more with it. I mean, how many years are you going to go each and every week that the woman is healthy and throw her on television, coming out waving her arms to used car lot balloons that would pop up and down? To me, I thought as a baby face she was dead, and as a heel she's even worse. So, I mean, in the olden days, you'd say, okay, it's time to move on to the next territory. You know what I mean?
Yeah, well, guess what? For the next 9 months is nothing, so it ain't even a discussion right now.
Well, we wish Bailey well in her recovery. We hope she physically gets better ASAP. As far as the creative goes, that's not always in the hand of the talent itself. But did you get a chance to see Aleister Black's debut in AEW, Oscar?
No. I'm afraid I did not see it. How was it?
Visually, it was overwhelmingly impressive. The soundtrack provided by the commentary team was a complete and utter disaster. I don't know what happened, but they did a tease where the lights kept going off and on throughout the show, as opposed to the typical wrestling angle where, you know, the lights go off and then, ta-da, there's a surprise in the ring. They teased that there were actual technical difficulties, which I thought was creative of AEW. He was in the ring when Arn Anderson was cutting a promo, and let me tell you, he took a kick from Black, and he took a hell of a bump for a guy that hasn't wrestled full-time since the mid-'90s. Cody Rhodes came out to try and save his coach, and Black laid him out. The problem was, if you had no sound, it would have looked tremendous, but you had the mass commentator Excalibur, he didn't know what his name was supposed to be. First he was calling him Tommy End, then he was a name he's used in the indies for the fans that may not be aware of that. Then he started calling him Malachi Black, which I guess is what he started to use on social media and is going to use in AEW, and it was just complete and utter chaos. No one knew what to call the man. The guy Excalibur started saying, I wrestled this man over in Switzerland or Germany 15 years ago, and, you know, his over-exaggerated commentary, which I'm not a fan of, but from the physical presentation, it was excellent. From the soundtrack provided by the commentary, it was almost mass confusion. You'd think they would have been a little better prepared for it. I don't know.
Well, maybe they getting all the bugs out. That's what comes to my mind.
You should have someone in someone's ear to be able to tell them at least what the man's name is. I think that would have helped.
Oh, well, maybe right now they probably don't even know them. They probably don't know. They can't call him Aleister Black. So, I mean, you got to call him something that.
Oh, no, I understand that. But, you know, for the lead play-by-play guy not to have a clue whether he should call him by the name that he used on the Independents or the name that he's using on social media now, I think someone, at least at the very least, should have been in his ear and said, refer to him as Malachi Black. And I think that would have eliminated a lot of confusion.
That's smart. You can keep the Black, certainly.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Anyway, all right, we got to wrap it up.
All right, you're busy down there in Orlando, baby, the Sunshine State, soaking up the sun as it's not even 70 degrees here in Boston, even though it's July. Welcome to New England weather. From my partner in crime, the man on the
Wait,
mission.
wait.
Oh,
What is with the Boston weather? It wasn't 70 last week. Y'all ain't got no summer?
We had the hottest June, I think, in the history of them keeping weather records, and then July, half of the month so far, it's been under 70 degrees. So I don't know. We had the tail end of the hurricane on Friday, which was quite a storm, but luckily I was able to get in and see my Red Sox play. The sun had come out. But then the past couple of days again, I mean, I almost need to be wearing a hoodie and a pair of jeans as opposed to what I have on right now. Borderline.
What is this?
Global warming. I don't know what else to say. It just doesn't feel very warm.
Okay, because, I had to bring that up because I remember last week you said the weather was kind of cool. I'm like, wait a minute.
It's July. I told you, it takes a while for it to warm up here in Boston, but I know down in Orlando.
I've been watching. It's been hot in New York, right?
Much warmer than this, from a friend of mine that lives in New York City telling me, laughing at me.
Yeah, that's sad. All right, you can wrap the show up now.
Well, have you found any nude beaches down in Orlando?
No, I'll wait for Reese to get down here and show me.
Reese will show. Reese knows where they all are. All right, fans.
Yeah, Reese knows where they are.
Again, all joking aside, we send our best thoughts and well wishes and prayers to the Orndorff family on the loss of Paul, and we certainly also want to send out some positive thoughts to Terry Funk. It's also worth mentioning that Chris Youngblood died recently at the age of 55. He was in Puerto Rico the night that Bruiser Brody was murdered and conversing with Tony Atlas as it happened. He was a star in world class, competed all around the territories. He never made it to WWF, but, he wrestled all over the world in Japan, Puerto Rico, throughout the United States. If you check out old world class footage, the Youngbloods are there. So, again, we tip our cap to the family.
He was related to Jay, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, Jay Youngblood and Ricky the Dragon Steamboat, they used to tag. They were the baddest.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes.
Okay. I'm sorry.
Well, that's what YouTube is for if it's not on WWE Network, right?
No, exactly. You're right. Yeah. Take a look at some matches with Ricky the Dragon Steamboat and Jay Youngblood. They were a really, really tough tag team. Really, really hot.
All right.
Wrap it up.
All right, wrestling fans. For Oscar, I'm Dan Marati. The next time we join you, it is going to be after the first WWE Monday Night Raw with fans in attendance since March of 2020. It is going to be a happening. I know you're looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to it. Hopefully all the great fans in Texas head on out and support WWE this weekend with 2 big television tapings and a pay-per-view. For the man on a mission, I am Dan Marati. We'll talk next Monday, 11 p.m. Good night. The World Wrestling Federation was live at Dane County Coliseum in Madison, Wisconsin, Tuesday, July the 12th, 1988. In the opening contest, Tito Santana beat Terry Taylor. Joss LeDuc with the win over Jerry Allen. Dino Bravo defeated Ken Patera. Bad News Brown victorious over Jim the Anvil Neidhart. The Powers of Pain replacing Strikeforce defeated WWF Tag Team Champions Demolition in a non-title match. Brutus the Barber Beefcake with the win over WWF Intercontinental Champion, the Honky Tonk Man via disqualification. And in the main event, Andre the Giant defeated Hacksaw Jim Duggan. If you were in Madison live, share your memories in the comment section below. Use the links in the description box to keep Wrestling Legends working in our eBay store and on our world-renowned Patreon streaming service so we can bring you more interactive superstar shoot interviews to relive the good old days of professional wrestling. Check it out. Boston wrestling sports in the MWF explodes into a new year with professional wrestling content galore and need you to join our family. Every Tuesday night at 10 p.m. after our Monday Night Raw review, it's Wrestling Insiders at your house with WWE Hall of Famer Mr. USA Tony Atlas. Wednesday nights at 10 p.m. after NXT and AEW, join rotating legends on Wrestling Insiders Special Edition. Every Thursday night at 10 p.m. after our NXT and Dynamite review, it's Marty Jannetty's No Holds Barred Sex, Drugs, and Rock and Roll journey on Wrestling Insider's Party with Marty. Friday night after SmackDown, don't miss John Cena Sr.'s Wrestling Insider's Fabulous Fridays. Plus, look for classic clips, history videos, bonus live episodes, pay-per-view watch-alongs, and more. For less than a cup of coffee at Starbucks, get early ad-free access to our Wrestling Insider talk shows, our acclaimed studio shoot interview DVD library, and help keep wrestling legends working during the worst of times